My name is Justin Tooley. I am the Acting Director for the Office of Innovation and Entrepreneurship at EDA. In that role, I oversee our workforce program that has done several competitions in the past, like Good Jobs Challenge. We also manage the Recompete program, and we are now going to go on a new adventure for our AI Upskill Accelerator pilot program. I'm joined by Carla Garrett, who works on the workforce team. And we released, I think last Monday now, our Notice of Funding Opportunity addendum about this competition. So the purpose of this webinar is to begin the process of supporting prospective applicants in applying for this competition. So this webinar is going to start to unpack some of the NOFO. We also will share a timeline of some additional technical assistance resources and opportunities, both on our website and then also future webinars that are intended to help us strengthen the quality of proposals that will ultimately come before us for review and prospective funding. If you, let's make sure we all stay muted on the line. If you have questions, the best place to put them is in the chat. We'll do our best to answer them in the chat. We have a lot of content to go through. We might pull a few questions out of the chat to discuss online, but if not, we will also, we can respond to them in the chat, or we'll add them to some of our FAQs if they might be applicable to all applicants. So in this webinar, we are going to give you a little background on our program. We're going to give you highlights of the addendum and what we're looking to ask for, or what we're asking for from applicants. We'll walk you through the timeline for this particular competition, and we'll talk about some of the next opportunities that we have available for you to get some additional advice and insight into writing the best application possible for your respective community. Next slide, Carla. I will say also we are recording, and we will also put the deck online as well as soon as we can after this webinar. So the recording will be there, and also the deck. The Trump administration released America's AI Action Plan, and this plan was intended to take a whole of government approach in ensuring that the United States is ready for a future with artificial intelligence. In the AI Action Plan, it asked EDA to use its existing statutory authority to think about how to support the workforce in artificial intelligence skills. This competition is in response to that. The goal of this program is to prioritize AI skill development as a core objective to relevant education and workforce funding streams. We are looking to pilot new approaches to workforce challenges created by AI. And then also the goal is to surface scalable performance-driven strategies that can help with the AI transfer, or the AI innovation in the future. We are using our existing workforce grants authority in our authorizing statute for this program. So we've used this authority in the past for many of our workforce development programs utilizing sectoral partnerships. You will see that although we are focused on artificial intelligence, that sectoral partnership approach is still a significant emphasis, a significant part of this program. Next slide, Carl. So the AI Upskill pilot is designed to support employer-led regional workforce training systems that equip American workers with practical AI skills required to effectively and efficiently utilize AI-enabled technology within respective industries. So once again, we are leveraging our sectoral partnership approach to workforce development. You can see a graphic on the bottom right-hand side of the screen. By sectoral partnerships, we are looking for tight groups of employers, training providers, and other entities to come together and design in-demand workforce training that is relevant to industry to help ensure a clear a straight shot into the workforce. So we're trying to get away from, oh, I'm going to go to a training provider and maybe it helps me get a job, to confidence on both the training provider side, the employer side, and the program participant side, is that they know that this training is designed in partnership with employers, and everybody can have confidence that the skills that you're learning are going to be applicable and attractive to employers. Our program goals: provide American workers with job-ready AI skills for immediate application. That's going to be really important. We know that artificial intelligence is new and innovating very fast. The possibilities seem to be endless, but we are looking for not speculative uses of artificial intelligence that might be off into the future. We are looking for supporting American workers with AI skills that are in use right now. We'll talk about that a lot, so keep that at the forefront of your mind. We are looking to support workforce development that emphasizes strong employer engagement and commitments to drive regional economic growth. So employer engagement is very important. We want employers to be at the have significant voice in these sectoral partnerships to design and to support the training and the broader supports for program participants. And then finally, this is a pilot program. We observed that there's not a lot of artificial intelligence training embedded in workforce development training programs. We are looking to sort of see what the field is open to, what the needs are, learning from that, and then investing in a few promising approaches to study and to maybe make additional investments in the future along workforce development activities that are supporting the workforce. Next slide. All right, Carla, it's all yours. I will go to monitoring the chat. So if you see my name in there, I can answer some questions there. But Carla, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Justin. All right. So before we get into the specifics of the addendum, I want to briefly ground everyone in how this funding opportunity is structured. So the AI Upskill is an addendum to an existing funding opportunity, which is the Public Works and Economic Adjustment Assistance Program. That means many of the foundational requirement, expectations, and provisions from that program still apply. At the same time, the AI addendum introduces targeted updates and modifications specific to this release that Justin mentioned came out on May 11th, 2026. So in instances where information in the AI addendum differs from or expands upon the original funding announcement, the guidance in the AI addendum should be considered controlling for this competition. So as applicants review materials, it's important to read the AI addendum alongside the full funding opportunity notice with particular attention to any areas where the AI addendum supersedes or refines guidance from the anchoring notice of funding opportunity. All right, eligible entities that can apply for funding. So eligibility for this program is federally defined and identifies the types of organizations EDA is authorized to fund. Because of that, eligible entities here is not something we can expand or modify. So what you see on the screen and listed throughout the anchoring, NOFO, and the AI addendum are the entity types that are eligible to apply and serve as a lead entity under this funding opportunity. As applicants review eligibility, they are encouraged to carefully consider their structure and their ability to meet program requirements as outlined in the funding materials. So funding details. This AI addendum makes available $25 million in total. EDA expects to make 4 to 8 awards ranging from $1 million to $8 million for each award. EDA will not make an award exceeding $8 million to one organization. There is a cost share requirement. EDA will have a maximum investment rate of 60%, but all applicants must meet special need. And we'll talk through that a bit later in this presentation. As the maximum investment rate is 60%, applicants will be required to provide 40% of total project costs in eligible match funding. So for example, if a project is proposed at a total cost of $10 million, the maximum allowable EDA investment, which is federal funding, would be $6 million. And the applicant must present $4 million in eligible match funding. And we'll talk later in this presentation about what match is and how that should be reported. All projects awarded will have a period of performance of 24 to 36 months after execution of final documents. And all projects must begin training within 1 year of award start date. This will be important as applicants think about the phases of the projects, which we'll discuss a bit more on the next slide. Lastly, here, we want to call out and call attention to reporting obligations. All applicants will notice throughout the addendum that there are project outcomes requested to be provided. So it will be expected that all of those that are awarded will adhere to reporting at minimum annual on the performance outcomes identified and maintain compliance with all federal reporting requirements. That information does become more detailed and presented to awarded applicants. So we encourage you to read the AI addendum to identify what project outcomes we are asking and what you would be expected to report on annually. Now, the allowable uses of funds, or the phases that I mentioned previously. This program is intentionally structured to recognize that workforce initiatives often are at different stages in their development. So as AI technologies and its use continue to expand and evolve, some partnerships may still be building foundational practices and operations, while others could be further along and ready to implement their training and their strategy at scale. Because of that, within this program, there is flexibility to support activities across multiple phases. System development activities, which will be considered phase 1, may include activities like formal partnership formation, coordination, or building the operational foundation needed to support responsive industry-led workforce strategies. This is an optional phase for applicants to apply for. It is also time-bound and must be completed within 6 months of award start date. The next phase is program design. This phase focuses more specifically on curriculum development or updating existing curricula to be responsive to current industry needs, identifying the training design, identifying the training providers that will support the implementation identified here, and continued employer engagement. Again, this is program design, phase 2, as you'll see noted in the AI addendum, and it is also time-bound. It is expected that awarded applicants will spend 12 months here, but will transition to implementation within 1 year of the award start date. Program implementation, phase 3. This is the required phase for all applications. So all applications must include program implementation. This phase is focused on the actual delivery of training and moving participants into training that has been identified and developed by the sectoral partnership, and then into their workforce outcomes. This is applicants can include earlier stage activities, but proposals ultimately lead to real training delivery and workforce outcomes. So as you see here, phase 1 and phase 2 are optional, but program implementation is required. Applicants can choose to include all 3. They can choose to include 2 phases, program design, program implementation. I do want to call out that if an applicant is including 2 phases, program design and program implementation, you are required to demonstrate that you have met the activities of system development. If you are submitting an application for just program implementation, it is expected and required that you identify how your sector partnership has met the requirements of system development and program design. We've included up to funding amounts for each phases, so it is not the final number. It's just what we are suggesting as a breakdown to help applicants plan their strategy. As I mentioned previously in the previous slide, the overall period of performance for any award made will range from 24 months to 36 months, and phases are intended to progress as efficiently as possible within the life of the award. So taking into the considerations the time bound of phase 1 and phase 2, they all should fit within the 24 to 36 month period of performance for all awards and projects. All right, we will go into the project narrative, which is the core of the application. So all applications must include a project narrative that is no more than 12 pages, utilizes a 12-point font, single-spaced with 1-inch margins. Each page is counted individually, meaning front and back will be classified as 2 pages. The only attachments permitted are for match letters, sectoral partnership, and employer commitment letters, as well as your comprehensive economic development strategy. I encourage you to visit the AI addendum and the anchoring NOFO for any additional information regarding formats of these documents and attachments. All proposals must address each section of the project narrative, and we will host additional webinars to discuss this in more detail, as Justin mentioned. And you'll see more information on how to access that webinar and when that will take place towards the end of the presentation here. And all project narratives must address all 8 sections that are listed within the AI addendum. Core concepts. So building on the narrative structure that we just discussed, this slide is designed to articulate to applicants the core of what should be conveyed within your applications. At a high level, we're looking for projects that clearly connect the industry workforce needs to a thoughtful, actionable strategy that leads to measurable workforce outcomes for workers and businesses. Strong applications will describe the sectoral partnership and how they are poised to address the artificial intelligence training needs of the identified industry in their region. They will clearly detail the proposed project activities, how those activities are responsive to industry needs, and why using supporting information. Strong applications will further describe the benefits of the proposed project activities for the workforce and industry overall. I'll pause here and invite our director, Justin, to add any additional context.
Yeah, so this is going to be a very, very important slide as we go. So I'm going to pause and give a little bit of a tip. There's a lot of information in a NOFO, all of it is very important. However, I think sometimes sometimes all of the requirements, which are important, can sort of bury the story. So if I were a prospective applicant, I would use this slide heavily. Think of this as your storyboard, right? Before I even started looking at the intricacies of the NOFO, which I know we get a lot of questions over here in the chat about sort of the intricacies of the NOFO, and I'm trying my best to answer those. I would use this slide to think about, okay, this is the story that I'm trying to tell. I would use in my first meeting with my grant team, sort of thinking, all right, just how do we sort of answer these questions or tell this story? What is the story we're trying to tell? We will be coming back to this in future technical assistance sessions and anchoring towards this. So making sure that you have clear answers to each of these boxes, I think is a good sort of pre-work activity to writing your full project narrative. Go ahead, Carl.
All right. So the special need that we mentioned earlier, so along with the cost share requirement, all applications must meet special need. As this is a requirement for the funding authorized under this opportunity, this information must be present in all applications to be considered for funding. EDA is unable to modify the criteria identified here and within the AI addendum. Applications must meet all of the criteria listed here within the NOFO and here on your screen. So all 4 points must be addressed. Applicants need to clearly articulate the industry of focus, any associated employers, and why these are a significant part of the region or the proposed service areas. Applicants need to articulate that AI that is currently in use by the industry and any known employers that are associated with the project utilizing the technologies. Applicants will go on to further demonstrate the importance and impact of the technology on the future competitiveness of the industry and economy in the region. Lastly, applicants will articulate the existing need for the training and how it is necessary to preserve or enhance the industry's competitiveness and further benefit the region. We encourage applicants to approach this as those that are reading what your proposal, your projects have no background information on your area or what you are proposing. Of course, we'll have subject matter experts a part of the review panel, but we don't want you to assume that your project or what the work you're doing is very well known and it's easily understood if you just make reference to the name. We want you to use this as an opportunity to really detail to us what is happening, what the need is, clearly articulate where we're asking you for critical information. Again, Justin, I'll pause here to give you a chance to offer any additional input that's needed.
Yep. Another great slide to use as you are in the brainstorming process of your proposal. So there's a few ways that we're thinking of using of how you might want to use these questions. One, I would work sort of with, sort of your grant team to think about your answers to these questions. What we are looking for in here is A, do answer them, and B, clarity. So it's not like there's some like magic threshold number of how important the industry needs to be. You need to make a credible case for each of those questions. So tell us, like, you don't have to also, like, I don't think that these responses have to be extremely robust, but they should be clear. But I would spend some time thinking about clearly and succinctly answer these questions and using data where possible. So pick one industry. Tell me why that's important to this region. Tell me how AI, and in bold the word currently. Tell me how AI is currently being used in that industry, how employers are using it, and how you plan on supporting workers in using artificial intelligence that work in that industry. I would really think about these questions and make sure that you have a very clear answer as you're putting together this application. This is a significant requirement, and it's also, when we get to the how we're evaluating it, this is worth a significant amount of points on the rubric.
All right. As required by the anchoring notice of funding opportunity, each project must be in alignment with the region's current comprehensive economic development strategy, or CEDS for short. Within the application, applicants should detail how the proposed project aligns with the strategy and either provide a link to the published strategy or attach it to the overall application. The attachment of the CEDS will not count towards the overall project narrative page limit. We will have additional information posted on how applicants can find the economic development strategy in their region. Also, guidance on what to do if there is not a comprehensive economic development strategy available for your applying region. Another requirement that is anchored in the overall notice of funding opportunity is alignment with EDA's investment priorities. We have linked here back to our website where those priorities can be listed, and all applications must be, or all projects must be consistent with at least one EDA investment priority. How applicants can align to that or demonstrate alignment, including within your application, within the project narrative, how you will, or how the project creates or retains high-skilled, high-paying jobs, demonstrate the ability to leverage public and private resources and rapidly launch and implement the project effectively, and provide a clear scope of work. I think you'll find that all of these are embedded within the sections identified in the project narrative, and some of the merit criteria that we'll be looking for. We've also included here where you can likely find this information, though it is not to intend that this is the only place this information can be presented in your applications. All right, match letters. So as mentioned before, cost share is required for all projects. So another way that we refer to cost share is matching. Applicants are to identify all match sources via match letters that will be part of the submitted application. Match letters do not count towards the overall project narrative pages, and match does not have to come from one source, nor does it have to be one type. It can be a mix of the different types that are listed here. You'll find these types of match also listed within the notice of funding opportunity, and the types can be cash, loans, bonds, or in kind. All included match must have a corresponding letter that identifies the type of match, indicate that at the time of award, the funds will be unencumbered, unrestricted, and committed, and the letter must be signed by the committing organization's authorized representative, meaning someone that can obligate and expend funds on behalf of their organization. In kind match must also provide valuation for the contribution. So if an organization is going to provide match in the form of equipment, that equipment will be listed, but also the monetary value will be included in that letter. Any in-kind contributions, whether that's software, whether that's match, whether that's wages paid on behalf of participants, must be consistent and directly related to the proposed project. It can't be something that the committing organization just happens to have that has a great value. It has to be connected towards advancing the project's outcomes and be utilized within the project. The other type of commitment letters are employer commitments and other relevant sectoral partnership members. So as referring back to the image that we showed in the beginning of the different partners that can make up a sectoral partnership, those members that are not employers would be considered your other relevant sectoral partnership members. These commitment letters help demonstrate the project's external support, their implementation capacity, and their ability to achieve the identified outcomes. So reviewers will be looking at alignment within these commitment letters to what the project narrative has identified as the goal and the intended outcomes of the project. So there should be some alignment there. Listed within the AI addendum are the requirements. At minimum, commitment letters must contain. So we strongly encourage you all to take a look at the AI addendum and ensure that your commitment letters are in alignment at minimum with what is listed within the addendum. Now, we've included some tips for what makes a good commitment letter and what makes a weak commitment letter. So good commitment letters offer concrete contributions and clearly identifies the contributing organization. It also includes some measurable commitments and alignment to the overall goals and outcomes of the project. Strong commitment letters are on letterhead from the committing organization and are signed by their authorized representative. Weak commitment letters offer vague stock language, just in general support of the project or general support of the organization. Not as strong commitment letters just offer advisory input. We understand that that could be the only thing that some of your partners can provide, but it needs to be strong, robust, and show that they have a role beyond advisory or additional support or participation beyond advisory is soon to come after the award. Application evaluation, you'll find that within the addendum of how each application will be scored and the criteria accordingly. Each application can receive up to 100 points. Also listed within the addendum are the required documents for application submission. So the only document that has a page limit is the project narrative. Any additional documents that are required are not counted towards that overall project narrative number. They will also be submitted via our application portal, which I'll give a little bit more information about that name on the next slide. But they will all be uploaded as attachments to your application. Giving a high-level timeline, our NOFO was released on May 11th, and we are hosting our first webinar today. Again, this webinar is being recorded, and it will be posted on our website, along with the presentation slides to be accessed during the application period. The application is open for 60 days with a deadline of July 10th, 2026 at 4:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And EDA anticipates announcing award winners in fall of 2026. So again, all applications must be submitted via the Economic Development Grants Experience System, or EDGE for short. And links to that submission portal is also available on our website. Some resources that will be available to all applicants during the application window are all of the recordings that will be conducted of the webinars, a link to our overall NOFO, including the AI addendum. We've also published some frequently asked questions. We'll also take the questions that are emailed to us and update our FAQs. We'll also take questions that are presented here and update those accordingly to our FAQs. We can also be reached via our email box, oie@eda.gov. And my colleagues that are joined on during this call are also monitoring that email box. So we will respond to your questions with the information that we have. So please, at any point during this application period, if you have questions, please reach out with your questions. We are not able to host individual calls or meetings with applicants, but we will respond accordingly to all email inquiries that come in. Listed on the right side of your screen are the dates for our upcoming webinars. those links to those webinars will also be posted online, and will all take place at noon Eastern time on the identified dates. If you're not able to make those live, you will be able to access the recording of those webinars throughout the entire application period. Again, our contact information, oie@eda.gov. And when you do email us, please include in the subject line AI Ready Workforce, FY, which stands for fiscal year 2026. And we will respond to you with the information hopefully for a successful submission of your application. At this time, that is all of the prepared content that we have for today's webinar. Justin and team, I'll see if there are.
Carla, I think, can you go back to our technical assistance webinar? I think we may have made copied the same date twice. So good flag, Nancy. We've got budget best practices on the 9th, submitting your application also on the 9th. Those are intended to be 2 separate webinars. Carla, what's the second date supposed to be? We'll update that in the data.
Yes, we'll sync it with our calendars and update that.
But what should be the date for the second webinar? Is that the 16th?
It is, sorry, pulling up my calendar here. It would be, because it's intended to be short and not as robust, would be on the 11th, June 11th. Right.
June 11th. Any other questions in the chat? I think we hustled through some of that. So Carla, I'm going to just put you on the spot real quick. If you were an applicant, what would you do after this webinar? What would be the next step you would do with your team?
Start preparing for applying or assessing if our organization is best to lead. I would take a look at the requirements that are outlined in the anchoring notice of funding opportunity, as well as the AI addendum, ensuring that you are the entity that is eligible to apply for funding. Because the applying entity will also be the lead entity, it is very critical that you are eligible for the funding. And then I would take a look at the requirements or the core concept of the AI Upskill program, because that is where we will have the clear vision and understanding of what the project is intending to do and how it aligns to the strategy that the administration has tasked us to carry out, and in alignment to the administration's AI priorities and goals. So clearly, taking all of this information back to your partners and assessing, one, are we the entity to apply? If not, then who? And then is this does our partnership, are we able to deliver on the outcomes and the strategy that is being asked in this funding opportunity? All right,
go ahead, Carla.
No,
that was a lot to marinate on in the presentation. I think I've got all the questions in the inbox. Where will the links to join the future webinars be posted? Carla, I can send they will be on our website here. Oh,
yes.
Thank you, Max.
Amanda Bruno, you asked if we could share the recommended subject line for questions sent to OIE email. Yes, it is. Now I will share my screen again. It is AI Ready Workforce FY 2026.
All right. Well, this is intended just to be sort of a first touch point. I hope you will leverage all the resources. We feel it's our our job to help sort of boost applicant quality. That's what these technical assistance sessions are for. Please take a look at the addendum. Look at these slides. Watch this recording again. Look at some of those two slides that I mentioned that sort of give you like an overall sort of like storyboard of what we're looking for, and think about, I think that those are very useful in helping you figure out if this is the right funding opportunity for you. Okay. All right. We'll see each other soon. And thank you for your time today and your interest.